Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on June 16th, 2018. If you like to play my game, Decoding the Powerball, to help assist you in picking your own numbers, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/decoding the Powerball. I have 7 strategies with my game Decoding the Powerball. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize at the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 13, 20, 38, 45, and 55. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list. And then I take the last 3 drawings of numbers and I transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I'll do the same thing with the orange area, the green, the blue, and the purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 69 white ball numbers total. Okay, so what I did is I divided that in by 5 colors. Okay, so 69 divided by 5 equals 13.8. Okay, so my goal is to have at least 13 or 14 numbers per color. Okay, so for this drawing here, I have 15 red numbers, 13 orange, 15 green, 10 blue, and 16 purple. And the number of colors change with every single drawing. Okay, so over here to the right, there's 236. This tells me how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And again, these are the color code drawings. Okay, so out of this 236 drawings, 122 drawings have come up a 3-color combination. 83 drawings have come up a 4-color combination. 23 drawings have come up a 2-color combination. And only 9 times out of 236 drawings have all 5 colors come up together. And never has it been just one color. Okay, so this number 3 right here, this tells me how many colors just came up in the last drawing. So again, you can see 1 purple, 2 orange, and 2 green for 3 colors total. Okay, so how I use this game is I try to correctly guess what the next number here will be. Okay, so more than half the time, it does come up a 3-color combination. Okay, so the overall strategy is this. The overall strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so again, there's 69 white numbers total, white ball numbers total. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners. So that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. Okay, so for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, so to help me out with that, I'm going to turn to how hardly ever do all 5 colors come up together. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess what color won't be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so for this drawing here, as I look through the history of things, I just see a lot of purple numbers from here to here. Okay, so my guess is going to be that I don't believe that any purple numbers are going to come up in this drawing. Okay, so the thing about this game is that we're all going to look at it a little bit differently. Okay, so you may look at this and say, no, I don't think any orange numbers or I don't think any green numbers are going to come up. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at it differently. But for me, I think that no purple numbers are going to come up. So I'm going to eliminate the purple numbers off of the game card. Okay, so to speed things up, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no purple numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the power play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these purple numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so if I'm correct with my bet and none of these purple numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, and how this works is up at the very top is the master for each individual number. Okay, and over to the side, over to this right side, these numbers are the numbers that just came up in the drawing. Again, it was the 13, 20, 38, 45, and 55. Okay, so that turns out to be a 5-group combination. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and what you're going to see here is that I've broken this up into 7 groups. Okay, so group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9, and then it's the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Okay, so how this works is the first group only has 9 numbers, and then the other 6 groups have 10 numbers. Okay, so again, there's 7 groups here total. Okay, so there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so that means that 2 of these groups will not be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how I use this is this big square right here. Okay, this is good for 5 drawings. Okay, so far there's only 1 drawing out of 5 so far with this square. And why I break it down into 5 is for a couple of reasons. Okay, the first reason is that when I go back into the history of things, it's easier to count going 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Okay, but the other reason why I do this is that my theory is that if there's a lot of hits within this group of numbers for this 5 drawings, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so again, the overall strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that no 20 numbers will be coming up. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this, and again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, but the reason why I'm picking this is because a 20 number has come up in the last 7 drawings. Okay, so I just think that it's due to miss. Okay, so again, I'm going to pick that no 20 numbers are going to come up in this drawing, so I want to get rid of them. So I'm going to eliminate them off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to pump this thing back up. Okay, so there's a couple ways that you can use this. Okay, so again, the overall strategy is to reduce the numbers, but you could also look at this and say, well, a teen number hasn't come up, or a 60 number hasn't come up in a while, so maybe I'll pick one of those. Okay, and what I could do here is I could highlight just one number and see what the colors have been. Okay, so like if this 15 hasn't been like a red number in a long time and it's in the red area, then maybe I'll consider picking the 15. Okay, so another way I could use this is I try to correctly guess how many groups are going to come up. Okay, so as I go back through the history of things, you can see that either a 4 or a 3 come up the most. Okay, and then it's a 5, and then once in a blue moon, a 2 will come up. Okay, so here's an example of a 2 right here. You can see that it was the 22 and 23, and the 62, 63, and 66 for 2 groups total. Okay, so I never seen a 1. I never seen all 5 Powerball numbers, all 5 white ball power numbers come in one group like all the 60s here. Okay, I never seen that happen. I'm sure it will someday. But again, it's most of the time it's either a 4 or a 3. Okay, so I always like to keep that in mind when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. Actually, I'm going to go to the game card. Okay, and I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far, with no purple numbers from the color code, and now no 20 numbers from the individual numbers. Okay, so when I block out a number like this, okay, this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so when I look at this, all right, and I say, well, if these numbers don't come up, these blocked out numbers, if they don't come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so basically what I did is I took all the numbers and I divided it into 4 different groups. Okay, and I put colors to these groups. Okay, so when the 5 white winning Powerball numbers come up, I record where they land within these color groups down here in the stats. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage. And the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 13, 20, 38, 45, and 55. Okay, so the 20 number is right here in the red. Okay, so when I go down to the red area, you can see this number 1. And again, that represents a 20. Okay, so here in the blue, you can see a 1, and that represents this 13 number. Okay, so here in the green, the 38, the 45, and the 55 are right here. You can see that 3 in the green. Okay, so that means that there was no winning Powerball numbers in the orange area. So it has a big 0 here. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed that none of these orange numbers were going to come up in the last drawing, I could have eliminated all these orange numbers and really gave myself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so for this drawing here, my guess is going to be that I don't believe that any red numbers are going to come up. Okay, so I want to get rid of these red numbers through the game card. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with those no red numbers from that option card number 1. Okay, so how this works is you can see that there's numbers off here to the left side. Okay, so as I go back to this group 1, you can see that there's no numbers off here to the left side. Okay, so what I'm doing here is you can see I'm going to use this 66 right here. Okay, the 8 shares the square with the 66. Okay, so what that means is, as I go back to the game card here, if I decide to get rid of all these numbers in this square, I'm going to eliminate the 8 and the 66 along with all these other numbers as a group. Okay, so you're looking at this as just a group of numbers. Okay, so the reason why I have the 8 over here and not crammed in with the 66 is because of the color code. Okay, so for here, the 53 shares the square with the 69, so you can see that the 53 happens to be red and the 69 happens to be green. Okay, so it needs some separation there. But again, if I decide to get rid of this whole square, I'm going to get rid of the 53 and the 69 as a group. Okay, so here you can see that the 66 is gone, but the 8 is still in play. And that's because the 66 was a purple number, and I decided to get rid of the purple numbers. Okay, so the 8 is still in play. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1. And my next pick is going to be option card number 4, no orange numbers. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, so as I go down through, the reason why I'm picking this one is because I just think that it's due to double up like here, like this 2 zeros did. Okay, so you can see that these orange numbers come up a lot. Okay, so this number 48, this means that there's 48 zeros within this column here. Okay, so over here in the blue there's 69 zeros, and in the red there's 79. Okay, so I just think that this orange is kind of due to catch up a little bit. All right, so again, I don't believe that any of these orange numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no orange numbers to it. So again, when it comes to these blocked out numbers, if these blocked out numbers do not come up in the drawing, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1. And my next pick is option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, so I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, so again, this happens to be option card number 7, and I just have a gut feeling that none of these green numbers are going to come up. Okay, so as I go down through here, you can see that the last run of hits was 15 in a row. Okay, so again, that means that one of these green numbers have come up in the last 15 drawings. Okay, so because there was so many rows here, and what a row means is that all 4 colors have come up. Okay, so when that happens, I call that a row. Okay, so since there's so many rows here, I think that there's going to be a 0 at one of these. Okay, so I think it's going to be this green one. So again, I think there's going to be a 0 here, which means that I don't believe that any of these green numbers are going to come up. Okay, so if I don't think they're going to come up, then I want to get rid of them. And again, I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, I'm going to scroll to the right. And you can read underneath, group 1, option card number 7, no green numbers. And none of those green numbers are on here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1. And my next pick is option card number 9, no red numbers. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at this a little bit different. You may look at this and say, no, I don't believe any blue numbers are going to come up. But for me, I don't think any red numbers are going to come up. So again, I think there's going to be a 0 here. Okay, so again, I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up. So I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay, and this is what the game card looks like so far. So you can see that I'm whittling down the numbers here. Okay, so I'm going to make one more pick. And that is option card number 14, no green numbers. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to option card 14. And again, I have 15 of these option cards. And again, sometimes these zeros double up, triple up, quadruple up. You know, it happens all the time. I think it's going to happen here. So again, I think there's going to be a 0 right here, which again means I don't believe that any of these green numbers are going to come up in the drawing. So I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. So as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll down. And again, you can read underneath group 1, option card number 14, no green numbers. So none of those green numbers are on here. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for group 1. All right, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so maybe you heard the phrase, divide and conquer, okay? Kind of a war term, okay? So this is kind of what I'm doing. I'm dividing the Powerball into certain groups, okay? And trying to pick it off one by one here, okay? So this is just another way of looking at things, okay? So here, much like group 1 where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups, okay? So it just gives me a little different look, okay? So again, there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So I know that 3 of these groups will not be able to have a winning Powerball number to it, okay? So the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how I use this is much like group 1, okay? I keep stats, okay? So I'm going to blow this up just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to point out this red area here, okay? So you can see this 0 right here, all right? That means that none of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area, okay? And this 2 means that 2 out of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. Okay, so how I use this is I like to record every 5 drawings, okay? And the reason why I do that is because it shows me a majority of things, okay? So here you can see that the majority is 3 zeros, okay? 3 misses, okay? So when that happens, I color the background blue for cold. Okay, so here you can see that the majority was 3 hits. So when that happens, I color the background red for hot. Okay, so as I go through the history of things, because the lottery is so random, I know that nothing can stay hot forever and nothing can stay cold forever. Okay, so when I see something that's been really hot, well, I know it's going to turn cold at some time. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so my pick here is no purple numbers. I don't believe that any purple numbers are going to come up. Okay, so let me go to the top. So again, here's the stats for the purple. And as I go down through the history of things, you can see that things got really hot. Pretty hot here. And now I think it's going to start to cool off. So again, I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, and again, that means that I don't believe that any purple numbers are going to come up on this game card. Okay, so I want to get rid of these purple numbers. So I'm going to eliminate them off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the left now. And again, you can read underneath group 2. Option card number 1, no purple numbers. Okay, so you can see that there's no purple numbers here anymore. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2. And my next pick is option card number 9, no green numbers. So I have 15 of these option cards as well. Okay, and they all kind of look the same as far as the colors: red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. Okay. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so here it's these green numbers, all right? And the only one left is the 36. So as I go back to the game card, you can see the 36, and now I'm going to scroll to the left. And you can see that 36 is gone. Okay, so it's just one more number that I don't have to think about. Okay, so less numbers to choose from, better odds of winning. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2, and my next pick is option card number 15, no red numbers. Okay, so this is option card number 15. Here's the red. So I'm going to scroll down through. You can see that things got really hot here, okay? Really hot here too, and now I think they're going to cool off, so I think there's going to be a 0 right here. So again, that means I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them. So that means the 38 and 39 are going to be taken off the game card. Okay, so again, I go back to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the left, and you can see that that 38 and 39 is gone. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do as far as reducing the numbers, okay? That's all I'm going to eliminate, all right? So again, I started off with 69 white ball numbers, and you can see that I have 1 and 3 is 4, and 4 more is 8, okay? So again, if I made all the correct picks, and the key word here is if I made all the correct picks and none of these blocked out numbers come up in the drawing, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card here, okay? So to help me really pinpoint what numbers I think are going to come up, I'm going to turn to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 5, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. Okay, so I like to keep track of that and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so this happened to me a couple years ago where I reduced the numbers down to 10 numbers, and the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed within these 10 numbers still left on the game card. Okay, I only got 2 numbers correct that day, but that's kind of where I said to myself, gee, I think I'm really on to something here. You know, I gave myself a much better chance at winning. All right, so even though I didn't win anything that day, this is where I started looking at these 50-50 picks as far as what I could do with the majority of the 5 white ball numbers. Okay, so as I go back to the 50-50 picks here, how you use this is this 281. This tells me how many drawings I kept track of so far. And this goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers, okay? And out of this 281 drawings, 142 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers, and 139 have been the majority of even numbers, okay? So I just think that's kind of amazing that it's so close like that, okay? So here, again, I like to break things down into 5 because it shows me a majority, okay? So this last 5 drawings, you can see that the majority was odd numbers, 3 drawings to 2, okay? And before that, it was evens. So I like to go back to the history of things and say, okay, well, here's a big run of odds here, okay? And evens, odds, evens, odds. So what's this next 5 going to be, okay? So for me, I kind of think that it's going to be evens, okay? But for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that it's going to be another odd number and then probably go to evens. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. So again, I'm going to pick that I think more odd numbers are going to come up than even numbers. Okay, so moving on, the next one is high and low. So all the high numbers are in red, all the low numbers are in blue. And then I have left and right. Okay. And I'm going to pick that I think that there's going to be more right numbers than left numbers. Okay, so again, when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want at least 3 of the numbers over here to the right side. Okay, so moving on, the next 50-50 thing I have is this red and blue area here. Okay. So you can see that the red area has 162 drawings to 119 drawings. Okay, so I think it's due to have a run of blue coming up. All right, so one last thing that I have in here is the Powerball number itself. Okay, so again, this is that red ball number. Okay, and the last red ball number was number 1. Okay, so if you don't know how the Powerball works here, there's 69 white ball numbers that you have to get 5 numbers correct, and then there's 26 red numbers, and you have to get one of those correct. So if you get all 6 numbers correct, you win the grand prize, okay? And the grand prize this drawing, if I could bring it up, is 137 million, okay? So that's what you need to do to win the grand prize, okay? So when you're looking at this column right here, okay, if you see a blue number, then that means it's low, 1 to 13. So again, there's 26 red ball numbers. I just divided it in half, okay? So again, 1 to 13 means low, and I colored that blue. And if you see a red number, then that means it's the high number, 14 to 26. Okay, so if you're looking at this column, if you see a red number, then that means it's odds. And if you see a blue number, then that means it's evens. Okay, so why I do this is because I just kind of like looking at colors. Okay, so when I see a streak of red, I know it's going to turn blue eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so for this drawing, I think that this is going to be blue here. Okay, and I think that this is going to be red. Okay, so I think the Powerball number will be a low odd number. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, I'm going to scroll down. And you can read underneath 50-50 picks. I think the majority is going to be odd numbers, and I think the majority will be over here to the right side. Okay, so moving on to the next strategy. Strategy number 6, picking the numbers I hope will hit from group 2. Okay, so again, this is my group 2 numbers, okay? And I have 15 of these option cards, and they all kind of look the same as far as the colors, as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that there's 15 red areas, 15 blue areas, 15 orange, and so on. So I like to keep track of that and keep track of those groups, okay? And I call that the group 2 overview. So I'm going to go to the group 2 overview right now. And this is what the group 2 overview looks like. Okay, so I'm going to point out the red area, okay, how this is on the left side is hits, on the right side is misses. So out of the 15 option cards in the red area, last drawing, there was 6 of those option cards that had a Powerball number that came up, and there was 9 option cards that had no numbers come up in that red area, okay? So the magic number here is 8. If there's 8 or more misses, I color this blue. I color the background blue for cold. If there's 8 or more hits, I color the background red for hot. So again, I just have to look at the colors and try to correctly guess when something's going to be red or blue. Okay, so here in the purple area, I think it's going to be red. So I think there's going to be lots of hits among those 15 option cards. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll over to the right. So you could read down here, I think there's going to be lots of hits among the purple areas of group 2. Okay, so this numbers in the yellow area represent the 15 option cards. Okay, so this is option card number 1. So as I go to option card number 1 here, you look at the purple numbers and it runs from the 5 down to the 61. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, I look at this 5 down to the 61 and I don't see any numbers there. Okay, so I put a 0 here. Okay, so I'm going to go to option card number 2. Okay, and again, I'm just looking at the purple areas, and you can see that the purple runs from the 33 to the 40. So as I go back, I look at the 33, and I look at the 40. The only thing left is the 40 on here, so I wrote that 40 down. Okay, so that's what I did with all 15 option cards. All right, so this is how I come up with these numbers here. So again, I'm going on to the next strategy. The last strategy, strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right, and the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are the 6, 31, 40, 41, and 51. Okay, so with this combination of numbers, this is going to give me 8 hits, 7 misses in that purple area. Okay, so as I go back, I'll give you a visual. Okay, so I think there's going to be 8 here and a 7 here. Okay, so since there's 8 or more hits, I'll be coloring this red like so. Okay, and that's hopefully what I'll be doing. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here. Okay, so again in the 50-50 picks, I thought there was going to be more odd numbers than even. So you can see that the 31, 41, and 51 makes that the majority of odd numbers. And I also thought that there was going to be more numbers here to the right. So you can see that the 6, 31, and 40 will make that happen for me. Okay, so again, this is how I use the game. If you're interested in using it, I'll let you know how you could get it. Okay, but again, the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 6, 31, 40, 41, and 51. Okay, so again, if you're interested in using my game, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/decoding the Powerball. And if you'd like to send me any feedback, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's just decodingpowerball@gmail.com. All right, folks, I appreciate you watching. Okay, if you like the content of this channel, then please subscribe. And as always, I want to wish you the best of luck with your picks.